One of the things we're going to focus on today are 5 classroom strategies that have a significant effect on challenging behaviors. These 5 classroom strategies can reduce challenging behaviors up to 80%, meaning they can reduce any challenging behavior, the most significant and severe challenging behaviors, up to 80% within a classroom. Sometimes in classrooms, we have a child with challenging behaviors, and then within that first week or 2 of school, we now have 7 children with challenging behaviors. These are the kinds of behavior trends, the kinds of challenging behaviors that these 5 classroom strategies help alleviate. Now we're going to take a break here for 1 minute and talk about my favorite F word, fidelity. With fidelity, we need to talk about what that word means. Sometimes people have reactions to the word fidelity. So whenever people have reactions to a word that I find fascinating, I look the word up. I literally Google it in the dictionary. The Google dictionary definition of fidelity is the degree of exactness with which something is replicated, reproduced, copied. When we talk about fidelity, specifically to these 5 classroom strategies, I will challenge you to think about fidelity. Think about what are all the components of these strategies, and am I doing all of them? What we know about pyramid model is that if we are implementing these strategies at a high level of fidelity, only about 0 to 5% of children should bubble up to that very top tertiary level, meaning very few children should need interventions like prevent, teach, reinforce. Most of these behaviors can be changed and shaped at the classroom level when we implement 5-to-1 deposits at high fidelity, when we utilize schedules to a high fidelity, when we design and develop those routines within our schedule so that they have a clear beginning, middle, end, and when we directly teach children, these are the behaviors that we want to see. This is what it looks like to be a good friend. This is what following directions looks like. And finally, peer-mediated social skills. Peer-mediated social skills are those back and forth interaction skills. It's our ability to interact with each other in a positive way, in a way that builds friendships and in a way that sustains friendships. One of the first Big Bang classroom strategies to focus on is what we call 5-to-1 deposits. 5-to-1 deposits is based on this concept of a piggy bank. And the idea is that we all have an internal piggy bank and we need to balance deposits with withdrawals. Deposits are anything positive put in your piggy bank. These are compliments, comments, positive energy. They do not require any response. A withdrawal are things like no, stop, don't, questions, directions, things that require a response. So 5-to-1 deposits requires that we have a focus on noticing the things that are good, noticing the positive things, and commenting on them in a ratio of 5-to-1. Schedules is the second Big Bang classroom strategy, and I would implement these in this order: 5-to-1 deposits first, and then schedules as the next big strategy. A lot of people have a schedule hanging on a poster in the classroom. While that's lovely, that is not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about implementing schedules to a high level of fidelity. There are actually 8 steps to implementing schedules to a high level of fidelity. So these are the things that require attention. These are the things that require us to think about fidelity. The third Big Bang strategy is routines within routines within routines. This is one of my favorite strategies, and it has a significant impact on reducing challenging behaviors. This strategy builds from our schedule. So our schedule is that first routine. And then to get our second routine, we would look at our daily schedule and look at the events in the day. If the first event is arrival, Arrival is the second routine, and we look at what are the activities we do within that routine. Then the routines to the third power involves looking at that activity. Let's say the first activity is hanging up your backpack and going to your cubby. Then the third power, we would look at what are the steps that are necessary to go to your cubby and hang up your backpack. Routines to the third power. The fourth strategy in our 5 Big Bang strategies is teaching behavior expectations. Here's the big thing I want us to think about with teaching behavior expectations. The big thing about teaching behavior expectations is that it needs to be done preventative, not reactionary. We do not teach behavior expectations after a challenging behavior has happened. In fact, we teach behavior expectations when no challenging behavior is occurring. The 5th Big Bang classroom strategy is peer-mediated social skills. Peer-mediated social skills involve that back and forth exchange. Some children interact very well with adults. When I'm talking about peer-mediated strategies, I am really talking about peer-to-peer. How do children interact with each other? That is another Big Bang classroom strategy. Similar to teaching behavior expectations, this strategy is meant to be taught in the absence of challenging behavior. It is not being taught when we're reacting to a challenging behavior. So think about places and times that we can directly teach these appropriate behaviors.